All right, let's jump right in. In this explainer, we're going to decode the strategy and really the incredible science behind a biopharmaceutical powerhouse, Regeneron.
So here's the big question, right? How does a single company manage to create not just one, but multiple blockbuster drugs and build a pipeline that could literally redefine medicine? Let's dive in and find out.
Okay, so before we get to the futuristic stuff, we've got to understand what's powering them right now. Let's take a look at their winning formula, the money and the master plan.
Let's start with the fuel for this whole operation. Take a look at this number, $3.75 billion. That's not in a year, that's in a single quarter. That's more than just an impressive number on a slide. That's a kind of financial firepower you need to make these huge decade-long bets on game-changing science.
Yeah, and that kind of success, it's not a fluke. It's all part of this really smart, self-reinforcing strategy. Think about it like a flywheel. They had these amazing tech platforms that help them discover their own blockbuster drugs. The money from those drugs, it gets plowed right back into R&D, funding a super deep pipeline of like 45 new candidates. And the whole thing is guided by this massive DNA database they have. So each part just makes the next part stronger. It's brilliant.
Okay, so to really see this strategy in action, let's zoom in on their superstar product. It's a single drug that's so versatile, they actually call it a pipeline in a product. And believe me, this idea has been an absolute game changer for them.
And this is it, Dupixent. Just look at the growth on this chart. It's just staggering. I mean, we're talking about a trajectory that's hitting almost $5 billion in sales in just one quarter. That's just incredible.
So you're probably wondering, how can one drug possibly do all that? Well, here's the secret sauce. It's not just chasing symptoms. It's going after the root cause. It targets this fundamental process in our bodies called type 2 inflammation. Think of it like your immune system getting stuck in overdrive. And it turns out that one single mechanism is the hidden culprit behind a ton of different diseases.
And this is what they mean by a pipeline in a product. Because they're targeting that one single underlying problem, Dupixent can be used to treat this whole list of conditions that, on the surface, seem totally unrelated. You've got skin conditions like eczema, breathing problems like asthma, even things like COPD. It's one key that unlocks a dozen different doors.
All right, so they're using that same core idea, targeting the fundamental biology, and now they're applying it to their next huge frontier, the fight against cancer. And their approach here is, well, it's incredibly sophisticated.
The central strategy is actually pretty simple to grasp, but it's so powerful. Instead of just, poisoning cancer cells with something like chemotherapy, the goal here is to teach your own immune system how to recognize and fight the cancer itself.
Now, one of their key technologies for doing this is something called a bispecific antibody. And I love the way they describe them, molecular matchmakers. It's the perfect analogy. These are basically engineered proteins that act like a tiny bridge, physically grabbing one of your immune T cells and linking it directly to a cancer cell.
But here's where it gets really clever. It's not enough to just link the cells together. Regeneron has figured out it takes 3 distinct signals to launch a really effective attack. So, signal 1 is the link. That's the matchmaker we just talked about. Signal 2 is the activate. It basically gives that T cell the green light to go on the attack. And signal 3, that's recruit. It's like calling in the cavalry, bringing even more immune cells into the fight.
And here you can see what one of those little molecular matchmakers actually looks like. It's this Y-shaped protein. See how one arm is designed to grab onto the immune cell while the other arm grabs the cancer cell. It literally forces them together so the immune system can do its job.
So cancer is obviously a huge focus, but their pipeline goes way beyond that. They're also tackling other massive health challenges, where again, they think they can completely change the game.
Okay, let's talk about blood thinners for a second. For like decades, doctors and patients have been stuck with this really tough choice, this dilemma. You absolutely need to prevent dangerous blood clots, but the drugs that do that also increase the risk of serious, uncontrolled bleeding if you get injured. It's a real catch-22.
So Regeneron's approach here is totally different. They're developing a new kind of drug that sidesteps that whole problem. What they've done is they've found a way to very precisely target only the pathway that causes those dangerous internal clots, while leaving the other pathway, the one you need to stop bleeding when you get a cut, totally alone. It's this super precise approach that could finally give us a much safer blood thinner.
And the potential here, it's just massive. Look at this number. Over $220 billion. That's the estimated yearly market size by 2030 for just a few of the things they're working on right now. It just goes to show you the immense scale of the opportunities they're chasing.
But maybe the most groundbreaking stuff they're doing is in an area that goes beyond just treating a disease. We're now talking about the science of potential one-time cures.
I mean, think about this question. What if you could fix a disease just by delivering a correct copy of a faulty gene? For so long, that was pure science fiction. But this is the promise of gene therapy. And Regeneron is one of the companies turning that sci-fi idea into a real-life medical treatment.
And this isn't just theory. Take a look at this. This chart shows the actual results from a treatment called DBOT. It's a one-time gene therapy for kids born with profound deafness because of one specific gene mutation. Each of these lines is a child, and seeing the line go up, that means they're starting to hear.
The results are, they're just astonishing. Of the 12 kids treated, 11 have had clinically meaningful improvements in their hearing. And get this, 3 of them achieved what's considered normal hearing levels. We're talking about children hearing their parents' voices for the very first time. So this is so much more than just lines on a chart, right? This is a fundamental change in a child's entire life. And it's an absolutely incredible glimpse into the future of medicine. This is where we're going, not just treating diseases, but actually fixing the code at its source.
And all of this leaves you with a final pretty mind-blowing question. As we gain this power to literally rewrite our own genetic code, you have to wonder, what's going to be the next incurable disease to fall?